It's time, everyone, to see which classic horror game is the best. Silent Hill versus Resident Evil. Here's what I'm going to be looking at. Story, characters, atmosphere, gameplay, and the enemies. Let's start. The best way to tell a horror story is to be very subtle. Silent Hill nailed this. You play as Harry Mason, a father looking for his daughter after he crashed his car in Silent Hill, a town covered in this thick fog filled with monsters. It's up to you to find his daughter and as well figure out the dark secrets behind the town. I did enjoy the story, but I do have problems with it. Going into spoiler territory, admittedly, the story is kind of dumb. It turns out your daughter is the other half of the soul of this girl, Elisa, that apparently somehow has supernatural powers. Elisa's mother wants to use that power to purify the world, so she combines the two daughters' souls to create a mother god that I easily kill, which gave me a bad ending. I thought the beginning of Silent Hill was great. The town is dripped in mystery and dread, but towards the end, it kind of gotten stupid. By throwing in a cult and a god that you can kill easy kind of ruins the mystery and the dark dread. If the game was to drop the occult and the god, but just have the town always had this dark powers, then I would think it would have been a whole lot better. However, I do have to give it credit for leaving some things up to the imagination. Is this place real, or a nightmare created by Harry's mind? Now, what about Resident Evil? Does it offer a good story with tons of mystery? The answer is no. In matter of fact, the game's story is terrible. The writing is notoriously bad. It's so bad that it's good. It fits in the B horror movie category. I was having a freaking blast because of how laughable the writing was.
This house is dangerous. There are terrible demons. Ouch!
So the story will entertain you, but it's also very predictable as well. You can easily tell who's the bad guy. This game has multiple endings, but I got the bad ending because I didn't save Chris. Sorry, Chris. The multiple endings do give the game replay value, but it doesn't make up for the terrible story. When you buy a horror game, you expect it to be filled with mystery and an interesting plot. So it's quite obvious who wins this category. Silent Hill. If we learned from anything from the Deadpool movie, it's sometimes the story doesn't matter and it's all about the character. So who has the best characters? Silent Hill may have a decent story, but what about the characters? Sadly, this is where the game faults. The characters are just bland and unreactive to the situation, especially Harry here. It could just be from the bad voice acting, because he sounds so chillaxed and uninterested in the current situation.
Glad you're okay.
Thank God you came back. I was scared to be here all alone.
I'm here now. I was worried too.
When he explains the other world to Sindel, he makes it sound so boring.
Cut the fence?
Yeah, see the audio cut out there.
I'm glad you made it.
It's weird.
I was worried about you.
You were worried? Where did you disappear to? Never mind.
It's kind of important, actually.
I want to know what's going on here. What is with this town?
This may sound really off the wall, but listen to me. You've got to believe me. I haven't gone crazy. I'm not fooling around.
Fooling around.
At first, I thought I was
Yeah,
losing my
oh,
mind,
sorry, man. Sorry.
but now I know I'm not.
It's okay, man. It's okay.
It's not me. This whole town. It's being invaded by the other world.
That's what I've been calling the entire game, the other world.
By a world of someone's nightmarish delusions come to life. Little by little, the invasion is spreading,
Invasion?
trying to swallow up everything in darkness. I think I'm finally beginning to understand what that lady was talking
He's saying this with a straight face. Hell, after I kill her, he doesn't react to that at all, even though she was helping him find his daughter. Cold-hearted asshole. The rest of the characters are admittedly kind of forgettable, except for Lisa and the old lady. I honestly thought Lisa was an interesting character and had a good emotional moment. The old lady is just a cartoon villain that I can't take serious in this dark world. Resident Evil, on the other hand, all the characters are quirky and a lot of fun to watch. Characters can range from lovable Goofy Barry to an obvious 90s cartoon villain. Yeah, sure, the voice acting is bad, but at least they sound like they're invested in what's going on.
Maybe it's Chris.
He does look like Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat, actually. Albert Wesker does.
Chris is our old partner, you know.
Okay, let me handle this.
Plus, their laughably bad lines makes the characters even more memorable. Jill shows more personality than all the Silent Hill characters combined. I'd rather play as Jill or Chris than Harry. Silent Hill characters may be more grounded, but let's face it, quirky and over the top is more compelling and fun to watch. Point goes to Resident Evil. You can't make a good horror game without scary atmosphere. This is for the best atmosphere. Silent Hill wins. Do I really need to go into detail about this? Simply put it, Silent Hill has one of the best atmospheres ever. Yeah, sure, it hasn't aged well, but for what it is right now, it still holds up pretty well. I love the town covered in this thick fog that's also somehow still makes me feel claustrophobic at times. Probably what really helped the atmosphere is that it's actually rendered in 3D environments compared to Resident Evil. It gives a sense of dread of being isolated. The sound and music really lends itself to the atmosphere of the game. You can start out in this seemingly innocent school, hospital, or town to this twisted version of these locations, also known as Otherworld. The atmosphere alone makes this horror game. Now, the game didn't really scare me, but it did send a lot of shivers down my spine and filled me with dread. What does Resident Evil have? A slightly creepy mansion, lavatory, and a small house? I'll give it credit for having variety in locations, but none of them are as memorable as Silent Hill's atmosphere. Point goes to Silent Hill. Sometimes in order to play a game, the gameplay must at least be playable. This is for who has the better gameplay. Both of the gameplay are absolute dog crap. Silent Hill's controls take after Resident Evil, but they fail the most important part. Don't have the camera move or have the camera where I can see where I am going. The amount of times I was frustrated with the game's controls was mostly due to the camera. When the camera moves on its own, it screws with the controls and makes it harder to navigate. Yes, at times, when the camera does move at the right moment, it gives this foreboding feeling, but most of the times it screws with me. Resident Evil has a fixed camera angles with tank-like controls, but they're easy to get used to, and they stay consistent. Navigation doesn't change when the camera changes different positions. But here's where they differ again. In Silent Hill, you have unlimited inventory, so you don't have to backtrack to the nearest box just to switch out an item. Both games consist of you running around, solving puzzles, and killing monsters. I can't really decide which one has the worst experience when it comes to gameplay, so it's a tie. Not all horror games need a scary monster to kill or avoid to be scary, but it does help. This is for the best enemies. We have zombies and lab-created monsters versus Harry's imaginated monsters. I was told that Silent Hill's monsters symbolize from the character's life or something part of them. What does a flying pterodactyl symbolize? What, did he shoot an innocent bird once? What about the zombie dog? Did he have a dog that died? What about the rest of the creatures? What do they symbolize? You see, the whole symbolized thing doesn't happen until Silent Hill 2. For now, it feels like it's trying to be like Resident Evil. Just have random monsters that you can easily avoid or kill. I'm glad they can be avoidable, but they don't feel like an obstacle. Even the boss fights don't feel like boss fights. Only two stick in my head, which is Sandel's fight and the final boss. They're not much of a challenge either, considering how easy they were. Resident Evil has zombies. Killing zombies is fun, especially when you blow off their heads. It has other enemies as well that feel like obstacles and threats. Zombie dogs will chase you down. Hunters will take off your head if you are slightly damaged. And freaking giant spiders. The boss fights are actually tense and, feel like boss fights than another annoyance. So it's quite clear that Resident Evil wins this round. Point goes to Resident Evil. Alright, let's see who's the winner. Well, this didn't solve anything. Maybe they're equal games that does one thing better than the other. Both respectable horror games. Nah, one of them has to be the superior game. So I'm gonna leave that up to you guys. I know it seems like a cop-out, because it is. I enjoyed Silent Hill for the story and atmosphere, and I enjoyed Resident Evil for the characters and monsters. Leave your thoughts down below on which game you believe to be better. Next time, Resident Evil 4 will be going against The Evil Within, created by Resident Evil's original creator. See you soon!